There's probably a million of those
Oh,
dang knockout compilations. But leading it, next question, which kind of like plays a similar role because we're still in the heavyweight division. But we have another guy here by the name of Brock Lesnar, who we mentioned. And the second question was along the lines of, if Brock Lesnar never went to the WWE right out of college and went from NCAA wrestling as a Division I national champion straight into a mixed martial arts gym with elite coaches and an elite camp, how good would Brock Lesnar have been if he just focused on mixed martial arts? Yeah, that's the question. And there were some stats along with it for Brock Lesnar's career in MMA, and it was crazy to think about considering everything else he did before MMA. So to think that he could have went straight to MMA from that wrestling, it kind of blows my mind with how good he could have been probably.
yeah. Okay. Brock Lesnar is an animal. Okay. That guy, first of all, I don't think most people have ever actually witnessed with their own eyes in person a human being of that mass. He is gigantic, okay? He's one of the biggest human beings you'll ever see on TV. Like, there's just, he's a freak athlete, okay? And a competitor, right? People, and this is what's funny, right? And I wish we could change the verbiage, but it's been a very long time, and I'm obviously not going to be the one to get everyone to change their minds. But professional wrestling is choreographed, okay? If you don't know, sorry to break the news to you, but it's scripted, okay? Now, amateur wrestling is what you do to get you into the world and Olympic games, okay? So when you say, that's why I don't like it. Amateur makes it seem like it's not as good as professional. So the verbiage kind of it throws you off a little bit. His amateur wrestling career, he didn't go to the Olympics. He didn't do all these things, but he probably could have if he trained hard enough. The guy's an absolute monster. I mean, he was wrestling alongside guys like Daniel Cormier. They never met each other on the mats, unfortunately, I don't think. Anyways,
No,
that was always like a thing. Well, that's why they wanted to set up the MMA fight, because it's like, oh man, I seen you on the mats and we missed each other. So like, there's no question this guy has a very competitive and very successful wrestling career. I mean, he came into the UFC and just started bodying guys. He took them down, beat them up. Imagine that fist the size of your freaking head. Just he's laying on you with his sword in between his gigantic man chest, and he's just blasting guys out. Brock was a beast and a problem. I mean, Frank Mir at the time, one of the greatest heavyweights at the time. I mean, he had the most dangerous jiu-jitsu. Obviously, he subbed him in that in the first time they met. The second time they came out, Brock pinned him against the cage and just beat his face to a bloody pulp. Like, Frank Mir was one of the baddest guys on the planet at that time, and Brock made him look like a child's toy. He put away Couture. Couture was like getting towards the end of his career. Same thing with
Carwin,
who's another guy with his hands are this freaking big. But like, and he was getting pummeled in that fight. Like, let's not forget, Brock, like, obviously is tough as nails because he was getting pummeled in that fight, came back to get the win. Brock's tough as nails, bro. Very, very powerful, extremely explosive. I mean, what was it? Keith Haring or somebody, he literally like darted across the and it was just like, it was like, okay, fight. And he literally like speared him from across the cage. It's like, that guy's terrifying, man. So getting a little ahead of myself. To answer the question, I'm all hopped up right now.
Jittered up.
Yeah, dude, because we're talking great heavyweights that never don't get enough shine as they should. Brock, if he came out of college and found an MMA gym, man, it's terrifying to think about how good he could have been. because he basically had no experience outside of wrestling and just being a tough guy that can like punch you. Like if he actually had skill, and I don't mean to put it that way, but like if he had proper focus and technique and coaches that could see the holes and train him up and turn him into a sculpted product, that guy would have been extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. I mean, he did beat Mark Hunt. He was juiced to the gills. That was later in his career. Yep. Mark Hunt is no slouch. He's one of the most dangerous men on the planet at any given time. If he hits you, you could go to sleep. So, like, you know, it just... Lesnar's career does speak for itself. It was extremely short. What did you say his record was? 5-2?
I think 5-3, if I'm not mistaken.
8 fights, and the guy's like the third most winning UFC heavyweight champion ever. Think about that.
He's got the second most heavyweight title defenses, and he's the third longest reign in heavyweight division behind Stipe and Cain Velasquez.
That's stupid. That's crazy to think about. He got kicked in the guts by Uberim. Now, look, Uberim was one of the most decorated kickboxers to ever grace the heavyweight division at the time. And as we find out later, Brock had some very severe stomach issues. Diverticulitis, it took him out of the game for a really long time. And when a guy like Uberim is hauling off left kicks into your liver, you know, that'll crumble just about anybody. He didn't have the defense. Good luck. I mean, Brock probably never checked a leg kick in his life. He probably doesn't know he probably never trained that shit. Like, for real, man. Like, so if he did, yes. Another answer, yes. Brock would have been an extremely dangerous prospect. I can't even call him a prospect. He was a champion, for Pete's sake. He would have probably had a much longer reign, just bloodying people up. Imagine if he learned jiu-jitsu. Imagine if he was like actually good at boxing. Imagine if check any of the boxes you wish. If he had done anything after his wrestling career that was in the direction of mixed martial arts, the guy would have been a serious problem for anybody.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, what more is there to say? He had all the boxes checked, but all the checks were in the wrestling department. The striking, jiu-jitsu, everything else was kind of like just getting him through to the wrestling. And to think he could have developed all those skills if he came right out of college into a mixed martial arts gym, probably top 3 heavyweights. I'm giving him top 3 heavyweights easy if he did that from the get-go. He think he would have been champion for a longer amount of time and maybe beat even better opponents. Not saying he didn't beat great opponents, but he could have had a chance at beating like a Stipe Miocic or a Cain Velasquez. Who knows what would happen?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I mean, look, he didn't really have all those boxes checked. He checked everything. Like you said, he checked all his boxes with like straight athleticism and size and power and wrestling, obviously. A guy like Cain Velasquez was a mixed martial artist who was also a wrestler, right? So when you put those two guys together, Cain's obviously he's not 265, cutting to 265. He wasn't that big, but he's still a big guy. You put those guys together, Cain ran a clinic on him. Because Cain has been training. Cain has had the boxing. He had the head movement and he knew how to go from boxing to wrestling, back to boxing to wrestling. He had the jiu-jitsu. He had a real camp. You know, if Brock had the same amount of training, and of course this is all speculation, right? Because it didn't happen, so we don't know what would have happened. If Lesnar had all the same training that Cain did at a top team like AKA or one of these other gyms, yeah, that fight probably would have went very, very different. And I, with all highest respect to Cain, we don't know how that would have went. But you know, Cain's a beast, and he won that fight fair and square. But Brock basically had, already talked about it.
Yeah, it's just yes, he would have been one of the greatest. But yeah, get back to the question. If he came straight out of college going to mixed martial arts, how great could he have been? The sky was the limit if he did that. I mean, he could have been the greatest. We don't know. But it's not how the cards folded, so we're playing speculation, as you said. But personally, I think he could have been one of the greatest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to add this too. However many, he only had like 5 fights, 7 fights, 8 fights, whatever. He still, to this day, holds a top 5 pay-per-view. Still, to this day, in the era of Conor McGregor's and Nate Diaz and Khabib Nurmagomedov's, Brock Lesnar still, and John Jones, he still holds a top 5 all-time pay-per-view number. So imagine the splash that guy could have made on the sport if he had put together all the skills.
Yeah. That's a crazy stat. I didn't know that. So that's crazy that he had that draw. Brock Lesnar, man, could have been one of the greatest. Still one of the greats in the heavyweight division, no doubt. He's got some great accolades to back that up that I didn't even know about until I looked at it. But yeah, yes, the answer is yes to both questions. Fedor, obviously one of the GOATs. We just talked about that. Brock, one of the greats in the heavyweight division. This was fun. I enjoyed this because it's something new. It's something fresh that we probably would have never came up with. So thank you to the person who sent that question.
Yeah, I love it. If anybody is, please feel free to reach out. Send us your questions because this is fun. And like you said, it's not like we usually keep it to topics that are, current events, right? And the cards that are coming up and then the recaps and breakdowns. And if anything is popping off, we'd love to talk about it. But this has been fun because it's like, I haven't even thought about Brock Lesnar in a long time. I haven't really thought about Fedor in a long time. This gets us to go back and rewatch some stuff and relive some moments and look at the stats. And this is part of what makes this stuff so much fun. So thank you to whoever sent these in. I love the questions. I thought they were excellent questions. And keep them coming, please. Everybody, keep them coming. And I'm calling it right now. We're going to do a Stray Dogs Q&A where everybody at our gym is going to ask us a question. And we're going to...
I'm in with that.
Let's do it. SD 609 Q&A.
That'd be great. We're doing that. Sold. But along with that, it doesn't have to be just MMA. Like we're jiu-jitsu guys. We send jiu-jitsu questions, send kickboxing questions. Make us, go back and look at things we haven't looked at or things we're not aware of, because obviously I'm not aware of everything in the combat sports world, but I would gladly research and do my research to give you an educated opinion. But so questions for any combat sport, really. Well, maybe I should pull that back. Any combat sport. Just send them in.
If we don't know, we'll just be like, oh.
Yeah.
There's no shame in that. Just say, I don't really know. But maybe it'll help us look into some other stuff. Ask your questions. We'll answer.
Yeah.
We love this.
Ask your questions. But those were 2 questions. We have answers for you there. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Something different for you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. As always, we got stuff coming up. I don't know. We'll record something. We're a little strange time with UFC cards and all this nonsense, but stay tuned. We'll be here. Hopefully you guys will too. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.